Good evening. We are live. We are live. We are live. Day 5 of Winning the Parenting Battles conference. It has been a lot of learning and unlearning. If you ask me, a lot of learning and unlearning. I have my materials, and today I am the one sharing with you the guidance I didn't have growing up and what happened to me. And I have Coach Dinadu and Coach David here with me. Thank you, Ma, for joining.
Thank you ma, for having us.
Welcome, ma.
Welcome, ma.
Okay, so thank you, Ma. Let me share a background story. So recently, I teach in my teenagers department in church, and I had some things they came to visit me, and also we had issues, ongoing issues talking about it. One of the boys is very girly. You know what we mean, girly, 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 and it's not really an issue, but the problem is that he has boys making passes at him from time to time when he goes out. He sees boys they make passes at him, and that is the issue. So we got talking, and I was asking him, okay, what does your mom know about this? He said nothing. What does your dad know about this? He said nothing. My dad will even kill me if he hears boys are attracted to me. And I was wondering, guess what? He has a friend who is a little younger, who he talks to. They are talking together. And this friend does not even know any better. This friend is so clueless. These Gen Zs that believe, and this boy is a church boy this is a burden to him. And the friend is this kind of Gen Z that they don't see anything wrong with what the boy is complaining about. So I am sitting back and I am wondering, why does your mom not know about it? Why does your dad not know about this? They don't know about your struggle, what you are struggling with, what is hurting you so much, costing you so much low self-esteem. Family members have no idea. So my question now is, if you do not have an idea as a parent what your child is going through, that means you are leaving your child to figure it out all by himself. Now, this is exactly what happens most of the time. It is my story. Growing up, I was ambitious. Oh, yes, I do a lot. I used to do a lot, rather. I remember back then I would write storybooks. I remember when one of my husband's niece was living with me. One day she said she saw a lot of stories that I scribbled somewhere. And she asked me, Auntie, did you copy all these things or you wrote them by yourself? I told her, why would I sit down and begin to copy all these things? Of course, I wrote them myself. From when I finished SS3, I would write. Then, one of the things, because we're raised indoors, so I was not used to going out, visiting friends and all of that. So, the television was always 4 p.m. then. So there was always the issue of boredom. And one of the things I used to fight my boredom was actually writing. I'll read storybooks, then I will just scribble down, write a lot of stories. At some point, I'll do drama, drama. That was it. I was writing. That wasn't all again. I remember one time, I got so fascinated by movies, watch Hollywood, the era of Genevieve. I remember I would write my scripts. Sometimes I would write epic, sometimes I would write detective stories. I would just write stories. And at some point, I was looking for who to produce them for me. I was looking at producing these stories. I was looking for who to sponsor, collaborate, and all of that. I remember, if you know Benin City, back then we're living in Bobahi. So I used to go from Bobahi to Uselu area, that GT restaurant. I used to go to Abomated. I used to go all over looking for sponsorship. Guess what? All these things, I was doing them on my own. My parents had no idea. They had no idea what I was doing. I would leave the house. I think that was about when I was already in university. Sometimes I would come all the way from campus looking for, they had no idea what I was doing. Really? Just living. Then, when I was in university too, I had a group of friends who were publishing a magazine. We first named it Campus Train, and then we named it Megastar, first and second edition. And we had no guidance, no mentorship, nothing, and that was it. I have an elder sister who somehow believes that my passion when it comes to parenting is born from a place of pain, from a place of bitterness. And she's always asking me, what is that one thing that is in your past that you have refused to let go? That is why you are so passionate about parenting. You are too passionate. This your passion cannot be ordinary. And I always tell her that I have a first degree in psychology, and the study of human behavior. But I also realize that, you see, my passion for parenting is actually from a place of I actually know that we can do better as parents generally. As human beings, we can do better. Now, imagine me as a teenager left to figure out my life all by myself. I was figuring out everything. I told you, I wrote stories, a lot of them. Some of them I still have till today. I remember my daughter saw my storybook one day and she was reading it. I told her, please don't misplace it. I still have it till today. I remember I got stories about, when I first learned about sickle cell, I wrote a story that my husband today still believes that story should be into a movie about sickle cell. I had a lot. I was ambitious. I wanted something, but I had no guidance. I had nothing. And you know what happened? When you leave your children on their own, like in my case, I was left on my own. Coach Inadu, please, can you just take it up a little?
Okay, ma. This is awesome. She said something that she used story books to manage her burden. Now, that was instrumental in our purpose. As of today, we see what coach is doing. I don't think there is any month that our lead coach will not give us a material at the Visionary Parents Academy. And this was part of the things that has been part of her. She was using it as something to just manage her boredom, but now today is becoming something. So which means that what is available to our children also, when they are bored, what is the boredom strategy? At the Visionary Parents Academy, we have resources for our children when it comes to when they are bored. So, coach, go on, please, ma'am.
Okay, sorry, ma'am. Oh, gosh. So sorry about that. Let me put on this light. Thank you. Okay, so I was saying that, very sorry. Today of all days, I have activities going on in my house, It's today of all days. I'm so sorry. So a little distractions here and there. So I'm super happy to join. Thank you so much. So that was it. I was very ambitious, and I know that very many children today are very ambitious. They have a lot of ideas. We are not just talking about dream or ambition. Now let's look at the boy I talked about. He is left to figure out his life by himself. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know how to handle situations. He has no idea. Guess one of the things he did? He said to me that there was even one time he encouraged one of the boys that was making passes at him because he wanted to collect money from him. He just wanted to trick the guy, let the guy give him some money. This is because now, what if he had tricked the guy had given him some money? The guy had given him some money that he has never seen before, and then he had gone ahead to say, if I can only treat this guy gives me money. It simply means that if I now accept to do what the guy wants to do with me, the guy will give me more money. That's what we are talking about. Leaving our children to figure out things. Our children to figure out lives on their own is never helpful. It's never. And you know what? And parents don't decide that I'm going to leave my child to figure out life. They don't decide that. They never plan. But it is what I always say in the Visionary Parents Academy, we should pay attention to what we are doing, even the atmosphere we create for our parenting. one of those, why was my parents not aware? Many of these things I did, my parents were not aware. My mom, fortunately, she was a confidential secretary, active. So when I was doing my drama, she typed it for me. She had no idea what I was doing. I just gave her to type. I was already in the university. She probably thought maybe it was school project or something. She typed it for me, but she didn't go beyond to ask questions. She didn't even pay attention to the details or anything. So she had no idea. Now, let's say my mom actually worked in library. I just say library board. So imagine as someone who worked with the library, who had access to books, who had access to publishers, authors and people like that, it probably would have been easy for her to have said, okay, my daughter has this kind of flair, or she has this kind of passion. Maybe I can position myself and meet more people who are into these things, and I can begin to see. Because I had a friend back then who was also a writer, and the mom worked with Ministry of Education or something like that, and the mom was able to push his books. I remember sometimes in those State, his books were used for junior WAEC because he's had a mom who was involved. A mom who and the funny thing, his mom was uneducated. His mom was just a cleaner, a cleaner in the Ministry of Education, something like one of the ministries. His mom was a cleaner. Now, because his mom was involved, his mom knew what the boy was doing, and she figured out, okay, how can I help? And what she did was able to position herself, play office politics, and was able to help her child have his books approved for junior secondary school examination. Very many times our children, they have a lot of things. I'm not just talking about when life throws things at them. No, I'm looking beyond that. There are a lot of things. However, if we do not position ourselves properly to involve in our children's lives, we are going to leave them to be figuring out on their own. Now, this is why when they try to figure it out on their own, they are likely going to make mistakes. Now, here's one thing that happens when you leave your child to figure life out on their own. Remember, like in my case, I had a couple of things to do. Not a couple, I had a lot of things. I was always having ideas. I have a friend who calls me an idea bank today. I always have ideas. I always get easily inspired and all of that. Now, the more your child attempts and your child doesn't make headway, what is going to happen? Low self-confidence begins to step in, because as they try to figure it out on their own, it's not now that we will have the internet space and all of that. As they try to figure it out on their own, they don't have skills, they don't have knowledge, they are just driven by passion or by just whatever is driving them. Now, the more they are left to figure it out on their own, because they don't have skills, the more they fail. And the more they fail, the more they struggle with self-confidence. Now, you are wondering why a child who used to be very ambitious, a child who used to have a lot of things going for him, a child who used to have, who was a know-all, who was a polymath, don't do this, do that, and all of that. Now the child is grown. The child is just like, is not making any proper sense again. You are wondering, it is because that child may have been left to figure it out on his or her own, and the child tried several times, and the child failed several times, and now the child is struggling with self-belief. Like, I did this, like in my case, I wrote stories, I went about looking for sponsors. Look, I had no idea. I don't even know what to look out for. I did not even know anything. It's not now that you have the internet, you can just take your internet and you just ask Google, how do I script a particular story very well? What is structure? I was just doing my own thing, I did that. It didn't work. I went into story writing. They were just like scribbling. I remember my younger mother would say she's always writing acting play. She's always writing acting play, and then did the magazine. It didn't work and all of that. Now, the more your child tries this thing, your child, they may have ideas. Even till now, you will see children, they will do something. My kids do it. They will say they want to sell it. That is them being ambitious. My mother will say, okay, I want to knit. When I knit a bag, I am going to sell it. My son will say, I want to do, I want to make a comic book. When I make a comic book, I am going to sell it. If you are sitting there, you have a child who is also thinking like this, you don't leave them to figure it out. If you just feel, oh, it's a childish thing, I beg, it simply means you are leaving them to figure it out. And guess what? The more they do those things, like I shared a while ago, the more they do those things, the more it doesn't work, because it will not work. They don't know that there are standards. They don't know that there are marketing skills. They don't know anything. The more they do it, the more they are not succeeding, the more they are struggling, the more they have low self-confidence. We don't realize these things. Now, let me go further again. That why did I not tell my parents? Why was my parents not involved? Why? One of the reasons we can never. Okay, let me first of all share this. I remember one of my teenagers were talking the other day. I just said something to her. I said, you can't wait to hammer, and then your parents will see. And she said, yes, yes. I can't wait to hammer, and then my parents will see me, as if she was in a competition with her parents. She couldn't wait to make money. I told her that because I'm studying these teenagers, I'm seeing myself in them. One of the reasons my parents were not aware was because, I felt, I needed to make money so that my parents will see. Let me make this money, then I will come and they will see. Then I will not have to ask them for anything. I don't have to depend on them for anything. I will just be giving them money. I will just be the big girl. And that was one of the reasons I didn't carry them along, because I wanted to surprise them. I wanted to do it on my own. I wanted to show them that I can do it on my own. I wanted to show them that I can amount to something on my own. And where does that come from? Where does that idea come from? Where does that mindset come from? Many teenagers are still doing that today. I just shared one of my teenagers. Said, I can't wait to make money. Then I will surprise my parents. I had a cousin then who also said the same thing. I'm going to surprise you people. So whatever she was doing, she was not carrying anybody along. I'm going to surprise you people. No, we can't afford to leave our children to figure out life on their own. Like I said, your children, they have small things they are doing, or whatever ideas they have, or whatever mindset they have. Don't leave them to figure it out. Don't think, oh, it's a phase, they will grow past it or something. You need to be involved. You need to understand. Now, the truth of the matter is, it is not every child that will now that even tries to figure it out. Or it's not every child that will make a big deal out of it. But some people, they will, very many will. And it will cause low self-confidence for very many, like it did for me. When you are not getting what you want, you consistently fail at endeavors, what do you think happens? You naturally have low self-confidence. Now, another reason why my parents were not involved was because there was no connection. Yes, I had my parents. It was all about the bills were paid, shelter, basic needs were met. What about emotional needs? Emotional needs were not there. Emotional needs were not met. So that connection was never there. One of my teenagers was asking me recently that, why didn't I date when I was in secondary school? And I told her that the reason I did not date when I was in secondary school.
Oh. Wow. The network is doing somehow.
It's very bad.
It's doing somehow.
Yeah.
I've mentioned what happened when we leave our children to figure it out all by themselves. And the number one thing she mentioned is low self-esteem. Low
Yes, low
self-esteem
self-esteem,
when
confidence.
when children fail repeatedly, when they are unable to achieve something, even it happens to adults. When the moment, one of the things you want to see is that the root cause of low self-esteem basically is non-achievement. The moment somebody has not been able to achieve something, you are putting effort to be able to get it, and you did not get it. Look at any child that struggles in a particular subject, that struggles in a particular class. By the time that child has put in effort repeatedly, you see that the child may just resign to faith that is not meant for that thing. And unfortunately,
That's
that
true,
will
ma.
end up affecting that child, making the child to feel bad about himself, feeling this incompetence, feeling that it's not enough, and all of that. And is a big deal. And the number two thing she mentioned now is no connection.
No
No
connection.
connection.
Uh,
Do not allow your children not to be able to feel you.
it's true.
Coach David, please say something on
Yes, ma.
this.
Okay, connection with our children is very key, especially now that the era of parenting these children is different from our own time. So
Sorry.
without connection, okay, okay,
So
ma, go
I'm
ahead.
so sorry. My network threw me out. So that was it. I remember one of my teenagers was asking me that why didn't I date when I was in secondary school? And I told her something. It wasn't as if I had someone or I had it. I under I understood anything. One of the reasons, the major reason, was because of I told her that a book I used to read, one series, Miss and Bones. If you're a parent, you should know Miss and Bones in those days. Saved me. Yes, because Miss and Bones, it's always about love story, and they would come and describe the man, the boy in the picture. I had in my mind like, oh, the guy I was going to date will be tall, dark, handsome, just like in Miss and Bones in those days. If you ever read it, you will understand. If you ever read all those love
Yes,
books,
I
you
do.
get the picture I'm talking about. I said, so I always had that. That was my mindset. So I was looking for someone like that. That was why. So unfortunately for me, like I always say, some people will be lucky. Some people will be lucky. They will not be in an environment that will test them. They will not be in an environment that will endanger them. Some people are lucky. They will never find themselves in an environment that will endanger them. I would say that was why I didn't date early, because fortunately for me, I didn't find such a person described in Miss Ambu's in my I didn't find the person. None
Environment.
of those persons came up to ask me out. So that was the luck I had. I tell you, if some of that person had come forward that fitted into the description, I definitely would have gone. Not because my dad was strict or anything, and I wasn't guided. I was completely ignorant, but I definitely would have gone because that was my idea of dating. Fortunately for me, I didn't have that person. So when we leave our children to figure out life on their own, a lot is going to happen. They can be misguided. It is very important because you always need to talk to someone. Like the boy I started this story with, he has two younger friends. He has two younger friends. And guess what? One of them is such that, it's because Gen Z, there is nothing wrong with same-sex relationship. It's not like a big deal like that. It's not like a big deal. Even though she's a church girl, it's not like a big deal. Now, just imagine that's the person he's listening to. What do you think will happen? So we constantly need to be involved in our children's lives. We need to be involved. We need to understand. We cannot afford to leave them to figure out life on their own. We cannot. You must understand what your child is passionate about. Passionate about. What are they passionate about? Where do they tilt towards? These things may be things that they are personal conversations they have with their minds all of the time. They go to school, they come back, conversations happening in school. If you have no idea, you don't know how deep these things can be. You don't know how much these things can actually go to impact them. They are trying to, I know that very many times my kids come back from school to ask me questions. Questions I may not have remembered, topics I may not ordinarily remember to bring up with them. They come and ask the questions. Now I'm wondering, if I leave them to figure it out on their own, who will answer those questions for them? Nobody. Maybe at the end of the day, it is one friend that does not know better in school that will be answering those questions for them. And now guess what? Because they have nobody else to answer the questions for them, they may believe that thing and they will run with it. Exactly what we are talking about. Seeds are being planted every single day in the hearts of our children. Seeds are being planted. We do not leave them to figure it out. In you being involved, like Kojinadu said yesterday, she said we should be uprooting the seed. Was it Kojinadu or Coach Warimo? We should be uprooting the
Yes,
seeds
yes.
that we did not plant. We did not plant. Every day seeds are being planted, and these children, they are confused. They are confused. They do not understand. And you know what? Because that is what the world is doing. The world is doing it. So they are figuring it out. I shared a story about one of my teens in church. I was going through his TikTok. I saw him wearing a wig. He is very masculine. He's a man's man. But he was wearing a wig. And he had lights, you know. I was the one that figured it out. Now, what if I told him, I said, you need to take this video down and see why. I said, if you don't take this video down, before you know what is happening, is the video that has the highest views, right? Yes. You may begin to say, this my video has the highest views, so let me do more video like this. And then you do more video like that. Before you know what is happening, someone thinks, I saw one cross-dresser, one man that acts like a woman in his videos. The other day he was saying that men are always coming to his DM. I want to tell you people, don't come to my DM. Oh, I don't do men. I don't do men. I do women. Don't come to my DM again. You come to my DM again, I'll embarrass you. He was saying that. And that's simply because he dresses like a woman. So I was telling my teenager, the way you dress, when you dress like this now, and then someone will begin to think, okay, maybe it is what you do. And they may begin to offer you money. Before you know what is happening, you are doing what you don't want to do. Now, what if I did not find that video? What if I did not take my time to break it down, listen and break it down and explain to him? He probably would have gone on. That is him figuring it out himself. That is him. Now, if his mom, maybe they have a relationship, his mom knows what he does online, then the mom could, or the dad, they'll be able to step in and explain to him what I have just explained to him. But if he's a child that is figuring things out on his own, nobody would explain to him. Before you know what is happening, he is falling into a trap that he has ignorantly set for himself. I don't know what's happening. Why am I'm hearing my voice again? I'm echoing. Oh, sound. What is the matter now? Gosh, I don't know. How do I rectify this?
My use your earpiece. Use your earpiece, ma.
Okay, I think I'll do that. Yes. Let's see. Sorry, just.
Okay, you know, your story sounds like mine. Like the coach is saying, talking about how the parents left her to figure it on her own. That's exactly the story I have personally. Can you hear me, ma'am? Yes, we can hear you, ma'am.
Hello. Is it better?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Yes.
Okay, thank God. I think it's still echoing. I can still hear myself.
Okay.
I
Try
don't know
speaking
what
again
why
now.
it's doing this. Okay. I don't know at all. This is so audio. Okay. 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 It's better now.
Yes.
Uh, sorry, I saw the audio. Echo cancellation. Is it still echoing? Can you hear me?
It's not echoing again, ma. Just go ahead.
Echoing.
No, ma. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry. Is it echoing? I can still hear myself. Okay, so I was saying that when we leave our children to figure it out on their own, they are bound to struggle. They are bound to make mistakes. Now, leaving your children, not involving doesn't mean you are controlling. It doesn't mean you are taking the independence away from them. It simply means that you just understand their interests, you understand their passions, you understand their thought line, what they do, and you are able to channel it aright. You are able to give them your 2 cents. It doesn't matter whether they follow you, they believe you, or they want to figure it out on their own. Maybe you just do what you are doing. When you do what you do, when you do what you are doing, and they insist on figure it out on their own, they are going to face the consequences. And when they face the consequences, then you are going to come back again and help them walk through it. We cannot leave them to figure it out on their own. I still see in this era, parents will say the child is a headache. Do what you like. Really? No, no. Now let me go back to why was I not figuring it out? Why was I figuring that on my own? Many parents, they don't sit down to say, oh, I want my child to figure it out on their own. They don't sit down. They don't do that. One of the reasons is trust, connection, trust. Your atmosphere is chaotic. If your parenting atmosphere is chaotic, your child will not trust you. They will not involve you. They will not bring you in. If they don't trust you, they can't bring you in. If they don't bring you in, they will not involve you. You will have no idea. And sometimes parents are so busy. And another time, parents are so single-minded. You're not seeing the possibilities in other things your child is doing. You are so single-minded. And most importantly, parents don't even have the skills. You do not have the skills at all. You do not know. You know, if I had known when I was growing up, I probably would have told my mom that, see, this friend of mine, see what the mom is doing. The mom is helping him figure it out. The mom is helping him have his book published and recommended. I probably would have told her. Maybe that would have maybe spurred her up. After all, I work with the library board, and it is the library and the Ministry of Education that recommends books. And the library and the Ministry of Education, they actually have a connection relationship, you know. Now, in every area of your child's life, don't leave them to figure it out. As they develop through, I want to use the word sexual phases, sexual phases. Do not leave them to figure it out. Do not leave them to figure it out. Now, you always need to be there to guide them. Sorry, I don't know what is echoing. I'm just trying to check something. Okay, I've turned it off. I hope it works. Okay, it's not working. So I was saying that every phase they go through, you must not leave your child to figure out. Now, this is why it is important you understand your child, their interests, their passion, every single thing about them. You are involved in them. I think it was Coach Helen that said, debrief your child every day. Debrief them every day. They come back from school, you are going to ask them what happened in school today. What is the significant thing that happened in school today? What the idea they got in school today? What you're going to ask them, understand that particular thing, because you see that thing that happened may have planted a seed in them. That thing that happened may have inspired them in a way that you have no idea. Constantly ask them what they think, what they plan, what they want to do, what they know, what they understand. These things are super important. It will help you to be involved in the life of your child. Constant questions, and make your as much as you can build some connection and earn their trust. As much as you can build connection and earn their trust. Make them feel vulnerable with you. If they are not vulnerable with you, you will not understand. Coach Odagbami the other day was talking about we were talking about teens pregnancy. One of the things she said was no connection with her dad. You know, she was left no training, nothing. She was left to figure her life out on her own. So when her friends were doing something, she felt that was what is the big deal? Everybody is doing it. So what is the big deal? And she went ahead. Because everybody was doing it, she went ahead to do it. Her friends got away with it, but she did not get away with it. So don't let your child, don't leave your child for any reason to figure out life. You leave your child to figure out life when you don't know their interest. If you don't know their interest, you cannot guide them. If you don't know their friends, you cannot guide them. If you don't know their strengths, you cannot guide them. If you don't know their weaknesses, you cannot guide them. If you don't know their strengths, you cannot guide them. If you don't know their motivations, you cannot guide them. If you don't know their triggers, you cannot guide them. If you don't know what fascinates them, you are leaving them to figure it out on their own. If you don't have backs of cool conversations, you cannot guide them. If you don't teach them how to set goals, you sit together, you set goals, you understand their goals, and you are running with it, you cannot guide them. If you don't know these things, it simply means that you are leaving them to figure out life on their own. If you don't know, you are leaving them to figure out life on their own. If you don't know they are doing something, what is your purpose of doing something? Oh, everybody is doing it. I'm doing it because everybody is doing it. That is them already doing something because everybody is doing it. Oh, my friends say it's cool. My friends are doing it. They are doing that. You are leaving them to figure it out on their own. If they are coming with their head, they say, I don't know why I'm doing it. I don't know. I'm just doing it. So when they say I am drunk, you are leaving them to figure it out on their own. No. Now, one thing you want to do as a parent, if you want to be involved in the life of your child, you must create time to be involved. You must create time to be involved. Yes, you must create time to be involved. No matter how busy you are. Many times we say, oh, we are working so hard because of our children. We are doing things because of our children. We do these things because of our children, yes. Time to be involved. You must create time to be involved. No matter how busy you are because of our children. We are doing things because of our children. We always say we do things because of our children, yet we do not have time to be involved in the lives of the same children. I don't know this sound system. I'm not sure what's happening. If I exit, I will not be able to use this particular. If I exit, I will not be able to use this particular. I tried fixing it. I'm not sure how else to do.
We can
I
hear
can't
you,
even
ma'am.
mute myself. I'm not saying
Okay.
myself neither.
Sorry?
Are you still having the echo?
I can't even mute myself.
Someone is telling me that I should work with my sound. I should help with the sound.
Maybe I should
I
leave
don't
and
know.
come back again.
Okay, ma'am. But I can see you, we can see you. Sorry about that, ma'am. Okay. Someone said, Candy ma, I think I can manage the sound. I don't understand. I don't understand that. Sorry. The what is it called? The sound. I don't know why the sound is echoing. You know, it's the same thing I've been doing. So I don't know why the sound is echoing. So I'm just saying that don't leave your child to figure it out. If you leave them to figure it out, like what's this man's name always say, they may learn the hard way. They may learn the flip side. They may never learn. I would say, I don't know if I would say I learned the hard way, I learned the flip side, or I never learned. I don't know. But when you leave your child to figure it out, they may learn the hard way, they may learn the flip side, or they may not even learn. So please don't leave your child to figure it out. Okay, thank you. Say it's better now. Thank you. It is a lot of struggle. It is a lot of struggle. Children, you can never, if you have a child who is laid back, your child is laid back, your child is not opened. You want to be sure that that child is figuring it out on its own. A child is laid back, a child is not opening up to you. Yes, that child may be figuring it out on their own, because these children, they struggle with a lot of things. You have no idea. Oh God, I teach teenagers in church, and I think I've been there for like 3-4 months, and it's all as if I have been there my whole life. I have heard a lot of things. They have come to share a lot of things with me. They've come to share rejection. Oh, their friends reject them. People don't take them seriously. They've come to share, and these things break them. They've come to share, oh, I always touch myself. In the night when nobody is watching, I'm touching myself. 12 years. These things are things that parents, you are supposed to talk to them. You are supposed to help them figure it out, help them understand what is going on with them and how they can possibly be better, how they can make empowering choices. Friends are constantly telling them things, making them feel bad or anything. I have a teenager who feels, oh, someone is body shaming me. They are body shaming me. She constantly feels that way. If she has issues with anybody, the first thing she says, oh, they are body shaming me. So initially, when I encountered her first, second, I thought, okay, they were really body shaming her. But it has become so repeated that I believe that they may not actually be body shaming her. It may just be her mindset, what she thinks. And because she has nobody she's talking to, nobody she talks to, nobody that assures her, nobody that tells her, hey, work on your mind, nobody that tells her that if people are not always talking about you, it's not always about you, nobody tells her that she may now run with that mindset. She runs with it, and that will cause her a low self-esteem. Teenagers, children, they have one issue or the other, one thing they are battling with. You don't leave them to figure it out. You must be involved. We as parents, we must be constantly involved in their lives. We must know what goes on in their lives. We must know what they think. I'm not saying they will tell you everything. No, they may not tell you everything. Sometimes they will forget. Sometimes they will feel they don't want to disappoint you. Sometimes they will feel they can handle it on their own. They can handle it on their, they are big girls or big boys. They can handle it on their own. Sometimes they will feel you can even overreact, because no matter how intentional you are, the human factor will always come to play. But they should be able to trust you. Know that, hey, when push comes to shove, or when shove comes to push, I can count on my parents. They should be able to come to you with their big dreams, with their big battles, with the ones that are really like an issue. I remember a parent once reached me. She was highly disappointed. The daughter had someone almost molested the daughter, and she didn't tell her. She was angry, she was upset, and she was just trying to heal, find closure, figure it out on her own. These are issues that will lead to trauma, lifelong trauma. We must always understand and we always have conversations with our children. I have an issue in my house. There's something with us. We don't trust in my family, my siblings. We just have this trust issues. And I've always wondered, why do we have these trust issues? Why do we have these trust issues? I was always wondering, until one time I remembered, my mind went back, and I remember that back then I remember that back then, when we were still teenagers, in church in Benin City, Holy Cross Cathedral back then, a baby was stolen right inside the church. I think it was Christmas Day or New Year Day or something like that. When everybody will say, hey, happy Christmas, happy New Year, they will start jubilating, everybody will be running everywhere and fun. That was how the woman, she got to church, she laid her baby with a wrapper on the floor, and the service was ongoing fine. And when it was time for Happy New Year, Happy Christmas, I don't remember precisely, everybody was happy and jubilating, and that was how the woman also was jubilating. By the time she returned, the baby was gone. That was a major traumatic event, because till we left that church, we didn't hear that the baby was found. That was a major traumatic. You know how we used to believe that church, like I was born and bred in a Catholic church. So Catholic is so sacred. Like when you are in church, you don't make noise. When you go and receive your Holy Communion, you put your hands together, you walk to your seat, you sit gently. You are supposed to be in church, you're supposed to be holy. How to be in the state of grace. You want to receive Holy Communion, they will even tell you, if you are not in the state of grace, don't come forward. If you're not a Catholic, you're not in the state of grace, don't come forward. You can imagine the holiness, or how sacred it was. Then a baby was stolen. That is a major traumatic event that will make anyone lose trust, or anyone have trust issues in life. Now, such issues happen. As a parent, you are going to walk yourself through it. Don't leave them to start figuring out, what happened in church? Are you sure this church is as God in heaven? Why will somebody's baby be stolen in church? How is God? God is watching. God, he don't do anything. God is a major event in church, yes. It's a major event that will impact someone. So you will not have trust for even your siblings, even yourself, you will not trust yourself again. Such major issues. You're supposed to help your child. You are not leaving your child to understand. So many times things happen as parents. Maybe we just take it. We don't take it seriously. Nah. You are supposed don't leave your child to figure out things on their own. As a parent, don't leave your child to figure out things on their own. You must be involved. You must be involved. I think my noise. I have activities going on in my house. People are doing something for me. Workman and their ways. So the noise is beginning to come up. It's even making me unsettled. So I'm really so sorry about it. If you have any questions, please ask. I'll wrap up now, so before the noise increases. And our next class is for 8 p.m. And hopefully the noise would have minimized a great deal, or the noise would have stopped a great deal before our next class. If you have any questions, please ask.
Thank you, Coach.
Oh, I have
Thank
a
you, ma.
question for
Thank
you, ma. Hello,
Okay, let's go.
can you hear me, ma?
I can hear you.
Thank,
I can hear you, ma.
thank you. Okay, let me.
Coach
I
David,
can
go
hear you,
ahead.
ma. I can hear you. Okay. Maybe it's
Okay,
network
thank
or
you very
something.
much,
I
ma.
can't hear her. Okay.
Thank you for your stories. You have a similar story like mine, and like when I was growing up. Okay, when I was growing up, I remember back then in my preteen days, like I used to write lots of stories inside, just like you were saying that. Okay,
I can hear you,
Your network
yes.
is
huh?
breaking.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you.
Okay, so back then I wrote a lot of stories. I just books, software like that. I keep writing stories just like you shared your own story. So I wanted to ask, at what point did you begin to out,
Sorry, at what point
and
did I begin to what?
how did that happen?
At
Figure
what
it
point did
out
I?
and begin what did you begin to
You
figure it
know,
out and what led to it?
okay. Okay, let me even share something. One day, I don't remember what happened. So, because when I got married, my husband is into business. So I just followed him in the line of business. And no, not that I followed him, I was working. Coincidentally, the kind of work I started working after we got married was similar to his business. He too was working in a place. So when he left the place, he just established the business in line of it, just like he learned and he established. Coincidentally, my kind of business where I was working was in the same family with his business. So when I just left my work, my resigned, I just joined him and we're doing business together. I remember one day, I don't know what happened. I think one of my brother's wives came to visit me, and we're going through some things. I saw the books I had written. I was not telling her something. I said, God, though, I told her that, do you know that if, for example, I had married someone who was into this thing I'm doing, who was into writing a book, I probably would have been able to further on what I was doing. Now, because I married someone who was doing something completely different, I completely just lost myself. I lost myself totally, because I married someone who was doing something, and because of the mindset that, oh, marriage, giving the all, being alone, I said, I completely lost myself in it, you know. But however, it's still something that has always been in me. I always write. I started writing fully. I always take my book around. If you see me going out, you always see a book with me. There is no way I don't go out without books, you know. So that was how I began to, okay, I have the book here. That was how I began to, like, okay, I always write. Coincidentally, one day, my husband saw one of the stories I wrote talking about sickle cell, and he was telling me, this is the story that will make a good movie, to make a cinema movie. Why don't you? He was always bothering me about that. Even till now, he still bothers me. Unfortunately, I don't know where that story is, because it was handwritten in the book. I don't know where that story is at all. And I remember some small details about the story, but I don't remember all the details. I don't know where the story is. Okay? That was it. So at some point, how I really came back fully was when I had my daughter, and I knew I didn't want to do business like that. I needed to have time for my kids. So I needed to now go back and search myself. And no, these are not the stories. Okay, so my son just brought some of the books. This book I wrote, is there a date? Oh, I wish there was a date. So, geez. Okay. Oh, there's no date. 20th century. I wrote law undergraduate. This must have been when I was in 100 level in the university. And that should be how many years ago? 100 level in the university. That is definitely over 20 years ago because I wrote law undergraduate. I wanted to study law. So when I was 100 level, I was taking legal method. So you know law of this thing. This is a stage play I wrote there. You can see 40 leaves full from the beginning to the end. This is another, where is another one? I think this is the only one I can see here. It's the same book. 40 leaves. Is it 40 leaves? 40 leaves full from the beginning to the end. 40 leaves full from the beginning to the end. This is not the story of the sickle cell. The story of the sickle cell, I wrote it with a pen that was it was wearing the book was the color, it was fading already. The last time I saw it was fading. Okay, so I think when I wanted to come back, I was just thinking like Mrs. Adegoke said the last time, she had to do like self-assessment to take her test to know her passion. That was what happened to me. So I knew that when I had my daughter, I knew that I needed to just be intentional about her because my son is a bit calm, but my daughter is mouthy. She's a bit of a fire, you know. So I knew I needed to be intentional, and I didn't want to be doing the business I was doing because it was really time consuming. So I had to sit back to say, okay. That was when I started going back to myself, doing my personal self-evaluation, and that was how I came back to writing. I want to writing. I write a lot. And one thing about passion I've realized is that once you are passionate about something, you are committed to it. You just keep going and going and going and going. You know, that was it. I don't know if I answered your question, ma.
Yes, ma, you have. You have answered it, ma. So, what led you to start parenting? Because even though I
Okay.
know parenting activity it has something to do with writing, but how did you come about that?
Okay, now when it comes to parenting, what happened first of all was, again, like I said, when I had my daughter, I remember when she was much younger, she's quite challenging. She would just ask you those questions that you are like, are you kidding me? So before that, I had my first degree in psychology. And when I was in school, my caretaker's children, they stood out for me in a way. They were all boys, but somehow there was something about them so that always interested me. I think I refer to them in my book, Understanding Your Child. They kind of interested me, and I was always going to like, when I have my kids, I'm going to be super intentional about raising my children. I always had that in mind. But when I graduated, I got married, of course, I forgot about that. So, however, I knew I needed to be super intentional. Something happened one day with me and my daughter, and I knew that I needed to be super intentional about my parenting. So, but I hadn't gone into parent coaching. I just, after a while, I thought, okay, I'll be teaching children about etiquette, manners, and all of that. I was doing that. So I left. That was when Facebook. I think I had my son. When I had my son was about when Facebook was just gaining ground. So what happened now was that then after I left Facebook, so my sister, my elder sister, I went to visit her one day. She was telling me about Facebook. There are groups, teens, young moms. And she was showing me a lot of groups. I was so interested in Facebook again. But and I said, if I'm coming back to Facebook, I want to look for a parenting community where we can just have parenting gist and all of that. That was it. So when I got to Facebook, I looked for parenting community. Look, I didn't see any parenting community. There was no parenting community on Facebook. So I didn't find any then. So I started my own parenting community. My kids, my world. My kids, my joy. Then I now changed the name to my kids, my world. Then it was after I opened my Facebook, I now saw one Facebook, Parents' Rights by Ronke Post. So I just left my own and I was just following hers. So I think she should be about the first one, then me, then before other parenting communities started coming up. So when I was not doing the parenting, I was getting a lot of questions, people coming, asking questions, and that was my fear. That was why I did not want to have my parenting community. Because when I actually had a name in my head, when I wanted to open my Facebook parenting community, I had a name in my head clearly. clearly a name in my head. I got the name from, when God speaks to people in different ways. One of the ways God speaks to me is through, like, I just see it clearly. It can, like, when I wanted to open that parenting book, I was reading a book and the name just showed. It was that name that kind of ministered to me. Open a group with this name and start. So I told myself, if I open a group with this name, people will think I know too much. They'll start asking me so many questions. What if I'm not able to answer the question? I said, no, I'm not going to do it. I want a name that is just fun and playful. A name that will just come and just gist about our children. That's all. I don't want to be an authority answering questions. I don't want that. That was how I just opened my kids my world. But later, I couldn't dodge the questions. I couldn't dodge seeing problems and the way they were being handled. I was feeling, we can actually do better. We can actually do better. So it was that passion that we can do better, let's do better, that I bettered the full blow. And then when I was teaching children in school, I also realized that now children, apart from teaching children, parents also have a role to play. Parents have a significant role to play. So while I teach the children, I was working with the schools then. I'll come to their PTAs and talk to parents. We are teaching children in school, you should play your part. So I will talk to parents about it. And basically, that was it. I hope I answered your question, ma.
Yes, ma, you did. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right, ma. Let me ask you a question, ma. You said something about how you ended up figuring everything out. And in the long run, here you are today. It's only people that you tell that you figured everything out by yourself that may know. But some people are not so lucky because in the course of figuring it out, they have been battered, they have been wounded, and at the end of the day, they are not even useful for their children now. What do you have to tell parents that have figured it out all by themselves, and yet the disadvantages, what happens when we figure it out? You mentioned low self-esteem, no connection, and these things are still playing out in the life of some parents and their children. What do you have to tell them?
See, did I figure it out? All those years I did not figure it out. I cannot even say if I had figured it out earlier on, it would have been a different ball game. I would have made better choices, more empowering choices, but I did not figure it out. It was just trying to do things on my own. I was failing. That was the only way I came to be a bit where I am, is because of reparenting, having to sit back and reparent and all of that. Unfortunately, your child may not reparent themselves. Your child may struggle. They may never figure it out. There are so many issues with leaving your child to figure it out. They may never figure it out. It is why you see people these days, they don't even know what they do. They don't know what they want. We are not living, we are not authentic to ourselves because we can't, your child cannot figure it out on their own, except it takes the special grace of God, or they just somehow have a mentor, someone just in their space, like I'm in the space of the teenagers in my church now. And if they choose, if I can't still force them to open, I go there and I teach every day. I'm so pained that I'm not going to be able to teach. I'm not able to go to church tomorrow because I have activities ongoing in my house. I cannot go to church tomorrow because tomorrow we're supposed to teach them about dressing. And I have had my mind on this dressing. They dress anyhow. They will wear anything. When that is them figuring it out on their own, thinking I need to wear short skirt, I need to split my skirt, I need to do this. They are doing it. That is them figuring it out on their own. Nobody is teaching them that. No. What do they want? Maybe they want to attract the opposite sex. They are just nobody. Okay, like a teenager in my church was telling me that we're talking about dating. She's in 100 level that at least she needs to date a particular person for up to 55 years to be able to know the person, to be able to understand the person before they can marry. Because by the time she graduates now, everybody expects her to marry. She doesn't date the person for 5 years. How will she understand the person? it simply means that she has not had a talking to. Nobody has had a conversation with her. She is left to figure out dating and relationships on her own. So who has told her that, oh, that person you are dating and you and the person may not even get married? Who has told her that it has to be your values and the person's values must align? The primary thing, the most important thing is your values to align. Who has told her that you need to be self-aware? You need to know, you need to understand yourself before you even think of dating. Who has told her that? She may even go as far breaking her boundaries just to secure that person. And at the end of the day, who has told her that as you progress in life, you may even meet people that are better than that person? Who has told her that, oh, that person may not even be the person you want? I was telling her that, do you know that at the end of the day, you can even date him for 10 years, you may not even marry him. She told me, God forbid, oh, you are not praying for me. No, that is not the prayer I want. Is what I want is perfect. I told her, as you grow, your needs as a human being will begin to change. I said, as you grow, if you are open to learning, you will begin to be better. So that person, except he is also open to learning. If he's not open to learning and you are open to learning, both of you may be having reconcilable differences. She's left to figure out that relationship aspect of her life. So for parents, see, again, the question is, what do I advise parents? They'll feel, oh, after all, we figured it out. We turned that well. For someone like me, nah, I did not figure it out. And I cannot say I turned that well. I had to reparent myself because I struggled with self-confidence. I just shared something about that. I said, when I first had the leading to start a parenting community, to start something about parenting, I did not take it. For years, I did not take it. I didn't have the confidence. One of my fears was when people start asking me questions, will I be able to answer? That was not even my fear. My major fear is when people ask me questions or when I start sharing my thoughts online, would people say I'm doing as if I know too much? So if you go back then, what I was basically doing was just asking questions. Even when I had ideas, I have things to teach. What I was doing was just asking questions, I would just drop something in a way that I studied psychology, the study of human behaviors, and I've always been interested, fascinated by the blank humans that are born blank and all that theories. But I did not have the confidence, the belief to pursue it. Probably if growing up, I was not figuring it out and failing, maybe I would have grown confidence to believe I could dream it and I could go for it. But because of that self-confidence, this is why in all my parent coaching, I will always acknowledge Wendy Ologe. And the reason I acknowledge her is because I saw her doing it. My group I was doing parenting and all of that. Someone saw my parenting post and I said, you and this person, the person now commented under my post that this person will like what you do. This person now commented when the Ologe's name under my post. That was how I knew her. That was way back then. She had not even opened her academy. She had not even opened anything. I was already running my academy. So it was seeing her do something. I was not like, oh, really? That was why I will always acknowledge her. I will always give her to her. Seeing her being able to come out and do this thing boldly, something I was thinking in my head, people will laugh at me. People will say I'm too much. People will want to see my children. Seeing her boldly do what she was doing, that was how I was able to now push myself and come out and begin to do it. So many times, your children, they will miss opportunities. I remember back then, when I was still not sure, when I was still just playing small, I had invites to speak. I will have invites, come and speak here. I will give excuse. I was telling the Visionary Parents Academy, was it there I was telling it, saying it, or I was telling my teenagers in church, I don't remember. I was saying that something I've come to realize is that he that will find a way. Oh no, the material I shared today, the material we shared yesterday, our family talk time material. I don't know, in the Visionary Parents Academy. I said, he that will find a way. He that will not, will find an excuse. He that will not, will find an excuse. My excuse then, it was because I did not want to speak. So I'll give excuse of distance. When I have a husband who is so supportive, who will do anything, just like this is what you want to do, go ahead. There's nothing, he would not even, I don't know how to put it. He doesn't have any single issues. He will even use his resources to support, do what you are doing, do. It's okay, you want to do this, go ahead and do it. That was it. So I didn't have any excuse not to have taken up those speaking engagements. But because of that, I will not go there and speak. They will not say this one is showing off, that she knows too much, stems from the place of being left to figure it out on my own and constantly not succeeding. Now planted a seed of self-doubt. You know how it is now. If you have done something, you fail, you do it again, you fail, you do something again, you fail, do something again. You start believing that, this is what I'm about to do, won't I fail again? Won't I fail again? That is it. So leaving your child to figure it out, nah. No. The disadvantages, you can't begin to imagine. I hope I answered your question, ma.
Yes, you answered my question. I also want to add, is it asking question again? Now, from what you have
Sorry, I can't hear you. I hope my voice is not too much,
I from what you have said.
I beg you people to minimize their noise, though. David, I beg you to minimize your noise. So tell your voice to minimize the noise now. Sorry, ma. I'm listening.
Okay, ma. From what you have said now, one of the things that helped you was reparenting yourself.
Yes,
and
definitely.
We need to emphasize this for every parent to understand the place of reparenting themselves. If you do not want to elongate the wilderness experience of your children, if you want to be an added advantage to your child, we must reparent ourselves. Coach, what does it mean to reparent ourselves as we come to a close?
Thank you so much. Thank you. We all need, like she said, we all need to reparent ourselves. A lot of us, and she just said something. If I was writing, I would have written it. If we don't want to elongate the wilderness of our children, because they will grow up in the wilderness for a long time, just like I did. A lot of opportunities. They will miss a lot of opportunities if you leave them to figure it out themselves. They will, when their mates are thriving, they will be surviving. When their mates are thriving, they will be surviving. We must never ever leave them. So one of the things I did was, like I said, reparent myself. I shared a video on this channel. I went back to look at myself as a child. I looked at my ambition. I looked at the phases I was, every single phase I was as a child. I looked at the knowledge I needed in that phase. I looked at what I got. I looked at what I did not get, what I ought to have gotten. I looked at as a child growing up, what were my primary needs, my emotional needs, my physical needs, my social needs. I looked at them. I looked at the ones I got. I looked at the ones I did not get. Because the truth is, the ones you got as a child already, there's every likelihood that you have them. You are good with them. You are in love. There's every likelihood that you will know how to give love, except along the line something happens. Because reparenting yourself is not just about your parents, how they raised you. It is also about you. All the other experiences you encountered, school, teachers, those kind of things you encountered that you were left to figure it out on your own. So it's about you now.
Wow. Is it my network or Coach's network?
I think it's coach's network.
Okay. Reparenting, coach said, okay, just like I said, that if you don't want to elongate the wilderness experience of your child, reparent yourself. I think in the month of August or September, we'll be having reparenting yourself challenge at the Visionary Parents Academy. And it's going to be 1 month challenge for every one of us to reparent ourselves. Okay, over to you, Coach. Hello,
Oh,
ma.
thank you, ma. Thank you, ma. Yes, that is it. So I had to go back to my, yes, ma. I had to go back to my inner child. I had to call forth my inner child. You know, I remember back then I would just look at myself in the mirror because a lot of things I needed to change, even the way I was raising my children. I remember back then my kids running about, just playing, would trigger me. I'll be angry, stay one place, don't jump on each other. I'll be yelling, you know. So when I was reparenting myself, I was trying to find out where were these things coming from. My low self-esteem, where did it come from? My what is it called? My low self-confidence, where is it coming from? My reactivity, where is it coming from? I had to look back. I had to look back and begin to look at them one by one, one by one, one by one, you know. When I looked back at them, so I just told myself, every time I look at myself in the mirror, I'll tell myself, now you are confident. Yes, you did mountain, that was in the past. You take your lessons, you know, you take your lessons. They were blocks that build you. I had to constantly tell myself, that you see, those things I did not achieve as a child, those things I was left to figure out on my own. Now that I'm grown, I have more sense. I will sit down and figure it out and tell myself, what was I supposed to do? What didn't I do? And I will start now. They became my goals. They became my goals to succeed at what I do. So they became my goals. I deliberately invest in it. It with my children. I tell my children to reset your goals. I also now use my children as like how do I call it? Something to like I now see them as the kids I was, and I try to parent them the way I wish I was parented. Listen more, be affectionate more, you know, be present more. All those things I actually felt I missed as a child. I had to deliberately. It's not easy. It is not easy, but you just have to. Like, for example, this conference, for the longest time, I've had the thought of hosting a conference. For the longest, even to before we started the Visionary Parents Academy, for the longest time, I thought we needed an academy that will be, for the longest time. And if I tell you that a lot of these things, I had them way back, not until a particular parent who was with us in the first and second year kept asking me, you need an academy, we need an academy, we need an academy. And I had a lot of people coming in, but do you have an academy? Do you have an academy? You know, they'll be like, when you explain something, you break it down. I've taken this course before, I didn't get clarity, but with your course, I'm getting clarity. With your explanation, I'm getting clarity. I'm not comfortable bothering you every time. So we have an academy where I pay and I can bother you. It was literally that push, that constant nagging in my ears, and I said, okay, let's have an academy. That was what happened. That was what bettered the Visionary Parents Academy. Even this conference, the same thing, you know. So it has to be like, so growing up, I wasn't able to do a lot of things. But now, whatever I want, whatever I dream, I know better. I know how to find my way now. I can Google online, you know, I can reach out to mentors, I can do anything, I know how to. So this time around, I'm going for it. That was how I hope I answered your questions, ma.
Yes, ma. Thank you so much, ma. What I could bring out is basically self-awareness. Self-awareness is very
Yes.
important for every parent to be able to move forward in the parenting journey. Thank you so much, ma. And I want to encourage everyone, if you are not in a community whereby you'll be able to, because You see, you don't need to figure it all out by yourself, even as a parent now, because the times are different and you may need help. Just like our coach said, that people reaching out and asking so much question is because there was something missing that they needed to find solution to. And if we are still finding ourselves all alone now, we do not need it. You need to be in a community whereby you can be helped. We can help you. There are so many resources that we have in the academy that will help you to be able to get answers to things that you are trying to figure out. You know, of what essence is trying to find solution to something that somebody has provided solution to? It's of no use. So
Yeah,
that's the
that's true.
reason I want to encourage everyone. If you are not in a community whereby you can be helped and assisted, Visionary Parents Academy is your go-to. You will love the community. You will get a lot of materials and resources, and so many. We have our lead coach and other coaches available that you can reach out to at every time. So don't you may be yeah, your parents left you to figure it all alone. Don't figure it all alone now that you are much more older in your parenting. So we thank you everyone for being with us today. Coach, your last word.
Don't leave your child to figure it out on their own. Don't leave them. They may be struggling. They may be struggling. They may be getting advice from the wrong place. When you leave them to struggle, it is very, it will not help them in any way. Please, it doesn't mean involving in their life doesn't mean taking control. It doesn't mean taking independence away from them. It just means understanding what they are going through, being their mentor. Being their mentor. It means being resourceful in their life. Being resourceful in their life. They are going through things they should be able to share with you. They have a dream they should be able to share with you. They have a passion, they're ambitious, they should be able to share with you. This way you can guide them and help them better. Please don't leave them to figure it out on their own, because they may never figure it out. They may never live their authentic self. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma. Thank you. So we see at 8 p.m. That's in 30 minutes.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you, everyone.
All right,
Thank you
thank
so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Okay, good night.